Hello everyone, Zach here from the Carnival of Randomness on behalf of our sponsor, Upsitnik & Associates. In these unprecedented times, we reflect on our future, both in the next few weeks and months, but also the upcoming years and decades. And it's time to prepare for that future. Upsitnik & Associates has been contacted by many healthcare workers, as well as old and new clients, to prepare wills, powers of attorney, and advance directives, also called a living will. All of you need these documents. So don't say you don't have any assets to speak of, no children or other dependents. Regardless of the circumstances now, you will need a will for today and tomorrow. Al Upsitnik feels so strongly about having wills and other needed documents prepared that Upsitnik & Associates can prepare your will, power of attorney, and living will at no charge. You heard that correct. No charge until the end of 2020. No hidden fees or gimmicks. Al feels so strongly about planning for the future at this time that he is willing to assist you with your future. Trust Upsitnik & Associates, attorneys for 42 years, from the Supreme Court to Alaska and everywhere in between. You can find them online, upsitnikslaw.com, on Facebook, Upsitnik & Associates, or call them toll-free 1-866-391-3299 to prepare for your future.
Hello, it was a rainy day this morning for Carnival of Randomness, and Greg did not get the chance to cut his grass, did he?
Hey,
Maybe this afternoon.
I'm an anti-grass guy.
And we have as a guest today, pro wrestling's loss is music's gain, John Erik Payton.
Ah, yes.
Ex-almost wrestler.
Yes, the masked grappler.
Who was your inspiration, though, when you saw, like, in terms of, like, to get into wrestling?
Oh, my very, very earliest was in the 1970s, pre-1975, when I lived in Erie, Pennsylvania, and I saw this huge, muscular, blonde guy, and what it was a very young Ric Flair, and he was whatever I was getting in Erie, Pennsylvania, because my parents did not let me watch it. They thought it was ridiculous, and I had to sneak sort of watching it. So Ric Flair, and then the 80s, all the 80s WWF.
And the thing is, people who don't know, Ric Flair, at that time, he was a really, really big guy.
Yes, he was.
Very massive.
Humongous, 300 pounds. Yeah.
And he wanted to be something like Ricky Rhodes, like the Dusty Rhodes.
Yes, you're right. He was, what did he want to be called?
What's like something with the R, Ricky, like
it was something Rhodes, though, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that was my very first, and I'd have to watch it like
Rocky Roads.
Yeah. I would have to watch it clandestinely in my house, and then my father would see it. He would turn it right off and say, "Stop!" And he'd find a chore for me, you know.
My dad was a buzzkill when I watched wrestling and stuff. He'd go like, "Oh, it's all fake. It's all fake." And I'm like, "Oh, shut up."
See, my dad was always. We used to go to the things at the War Memorial when they had them.
Yeah.
And they were fun. I would always look forward to seeing them. And what was cool at the time, too, for wrestling, for a drum podcast, of course, was that you didn't know at the time. You sort of knew, but you weren't sure. But I heard stories like about the Sheik. There was a story, and this guy was the madman in Detroit, not the Iron Sheik.
Yes.
He never broke kayfabe, and kayfabe is the idea that you always never tell. But what he did one autograph appearance. It was for a friend. He did it in character. He didn't talk. But what he would do, they said in the hotel room, they could see the Sheik chasing people around.
Yes.
And you know, because they would be
crap out of people.
Yeah. And they would just hold it. It was very serious. And I loved like George the Animal Steele. He scared me.
Yes. I miss kayfabe so much. I, even as a little boy, knew that a 300-pound man coming off the rope on another guy's throat wasn't really. They had some kind of theater, but I enjoyed losing myself in.
It's like a magic show.
Yeah.
It's like a magic show, you know. But like Ole Anderson told the story before they wised him up to the business. Okay, a guy gets me in a headlock, I'm just going to pick him up and drop him.
Yes.
And they had to explain, well, you don't do that. Yes. But what Ole would do is he would get, like, they would have marks from the audience in their local shows. They want to wrestle.
Yeah.
So he would say, the guy would come up to him, okay, who's going to win? what do you mean who's going to win? Whoever wins. And he said these guys would shit their pants and run and tell other friends.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, dude, going down this road, man. I could talk forever.
Oh, we could talk wrestling.
I actually
and drums.
went to one of those at a war memorial a long time ago. Martinez or something. Somebody was there, and he had a freaking chain. He was hitting a guy with a big chain and all this stuff.
Oh, it was Hercules
crazy.
Hernandez?
Yeah, that might be
Somebody like that, yeah. Did you going
we
back
can
to
talk
our
wrestling
roots?
and drums today.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to tie this in with have you ever seen the old Ren and Stimpy wrestling cartoon? The one,
yes.
Mad Dog Hoek.
Yes, yes.
That's great, man.
Lumping. His finishing hold was the atomic butt pliers.
Yeah, right.
And the other, the Space Ghost one, Gorilla, he sticks Calhoun, Wildfire, Tommy Rich.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were totally into that stuff. I mean, we were watching it as a young kid. You're like, what?
Yeah, no, but yes, if music didn't bite me, I would have tried to be a wrestler, and it's a good thing because I would have been crippled.
Right.
Now.
But the one story it was like, when you find the gifts hidden upstairs from Santa Claus that your parents hide.
Yeah.
They would take me in a matches. So I saw the Andre the Giant Killer Khan match.
Oh, wow.
And this was the match where they announced how Killer Khan broke his leg. And what happened was Andre broke his leg getting out of bed.
Uh-huh.
So I was at the match. I don't remember seeing him break his leg. And I'm like, wait a sec.
You get killed getting hit by a bus.
Right.
Hey, who knows?
See, you grew up here in Rochester, didn't you? So there was some great Northeast WWF action at the War Memorial you probably saw as a kid.
Yeah, and the other thing was I vaguely remember my introduction to wrestling was a show hosted by Dick the Destroyer Bayer in Rochester.
Yes.
And actually, he passed away a couple of years ago. I wrote to Mr. Bayer, and I asked him, did you do this? Because my brother told me there was one, he would broadcast in the mask. Okay. And one time a guy whacked him over the head with a garbage can lid. So he came on the next, he had a bandage over his mask. And I remember the Fargo brothers.
Yeah.
And what the Fargo brothers they were Johnny Valentine and his son Greg.
Yep.
And what all of a sudden people noticed. So Greg Valentine made an appearance here a few years ago, and I went to see him. And I said, the Fargo brothers. He's like, yeah.
And Dick Bayer, he was a destroyer, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The magnificent
the
destroyer.
Masked Destroyer. So, tell us what you know about wrestling there, Greg.
Not much. I know they always stomp the floor when they hit somebody.
Should have had the drummer. It's like they have the drummer. Wait a second, the manager throws him the cowbell.
That's right. Conk.
That's funny. But to tie wrestling and drumming together, I have my alter ego is the Masked Grappler, and I played several gigs. Matter of fact,
I've seen it, I think.
Yeah,
I've never seen
with
that.
Anonymous
I saw it one Halloween.
Yeah, so I did it on Halloween. I committed the entire night. I came in with the mask. I set up with the mask. I left with the mask on.
I didn't know
remember that. I
Yeah.
remember Susie had the little the skull thing.
Yes,
that's hilarious.
But the other, could you ever do the Bunny Carlos thing? How does the dude smoke the whole time while he's playing drums?
I don't know.
I saw him. I saw him here, and he's just sitting there smoking, playing the drums.
Yes, he must have had an ashtray hot glued onto his kick drum.
I don't think about that because really. People asked me. I saw the Rolling Stones in 1989 at RFK Stadium. They asked me. I said the big thing I took out of it. Keith balanced a cigarette the whole time.
Right.
When I saw Motorhead, Lemmy would have a cigarette, put it on his guitar like a pick.
Oh,
maybe I don't know, but maybe they're smoking the clove type things or the Hollywood type cigarettes.
I don't think Lemmy
not real cigarettes.
Yeah.
I don't think so for Lemmy.
Yeah,
no, not Lemmy.
Double Marlboros.
That's right.
Somehow packed twice as much.
Dip not in LSD, but in vodka and orange juice.
I told you no filters.
But one of the things we were talking about before we started was sound quality in terms of gigs.
Right.
Yeah, so I know you do your own. I saw you this past week.
Well, what I was starting to say was that's one of the reasons everybody kind of teases me about, why do you get there so damn early? And I'm like, because...
Good parking space.
Yeah, that. And, I want to get the stuff in there. I allow 20 minutes to schlep the stuff in, because that's, especially if you're doing it by yourself, it takes a few trips. You got to take stuff out of cases. You got to set stuff up. You got to organize things. You got to position stuff.
I know with COVID,
And, you know, you just-
your
it
army
takes
of
time.
roadies has been laid off because of COVID.
Right,
You have to
yeah.
vote
The army
yourself.
of roadies that we could never pay anyway, so.
Right.
Hey, you want to do something for a beer? Sure.
Hey, you want a fruit roll-up?
Yeah.
Hey, where's my drum?
Right. Sometimes the beer is more than you're getting that night.
Yeah, no kidding. But, you know, I really like to lay the wires out nice. I've always been sort of a weird, you know, like, I learned this a long time ago from a couple guys in different bands. I remember Dick Grammatico was really into this, like, very clean stage setup when I was in early bands. And so, like, I've got this thing. I tuck wires under the carpets and things. I just don't want it to look like a rummage sale. So I get there early, make sure everything works, test, you know, position stuff, and then you can relax a little bit. You can change, and you don't look like I don't like doing it when there's people around. I don't want to go through people.
You want to go through the
and all that.
magic, too. And I've seen bad setups, not by you, but by other bands. I've seen certain bands where the drummer's playing and the drum goes flying off
Right.
and falls down.
Yeah.
Well, that has happened every now and then. Cymbals fall.
It's like, it's gone.
Cymbals tip over, you know. Then you just try to play them from underneath and look cool. Hey, man, that's really cool.
Tell the audience a little bit about yourself because you were a guest of honor.
Yeah,
Oh, me.
Mr. John Erik Payton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alter ego, the masked grappler. I've been playing in this town since the mid '80s in several bands. Had a long tenure as the drummer for the Buddha Hood when Tony Cavagnero was with us, and shortly after he passed.
Bless him, too.
Yeah. He was. I played in a metal band with him back in the '80s called Malcolm Bliss, and we had a connection going back 30
I've
plus
seen
years.
you guys then. I remember the name.
Yes, we had the deal where we fed our live boa constrictor on stage, and
Nice.
but then through that relationship, playing with the Riff Monsters and then the Buddha Hood, and then when I split from the Buddha Hood, started the JPP, the John Payton Project, with my partner Andrew Bellavia, who was in the Buddha Hood with me. And
Andrew's awesome.
yes, played a lot with that's still
No, that
going.
was me.
Yeah, I'm coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the JPP, coming up in December.
Cool. I'd say it hard to ask this. Were you planning a show for the 10th anniversary?
Well, we absolutely would have if 2020 didn't just mess everything up.
We had Kim Draheim on, and one of the things he had his 50th anniversary playing show. COVID said no.
Yes. Yeah. Kim is another. I spent time recently being the drummer for his band. Maybe a couple, 2-3 years ago, I spent time drumming with Anonymous Willpower when Greg, who's very busy with a bunch of gigs, couldn't do that.
As opposed to doing time.
Yeah, right. And now
He went away to an island.
I drummed for Cinnamon Jones for a few years, and then now I'm just doing JPP, and I'm playing with Centenary Road, which is a reggae rock band, which is led by Paul Brown, who is he was Eddie Grant's guitarist, Rock Down to Electric Avenue.
Oh, cool.
And he is Downtown Julie Brown's big brother from MTV fame.
Oh, wow.
And
cool.
he's a great vocalist, a wealth of songs, and we're about to put our record out, our first record out. We've been working on it in a while.
That's awesome, man.
JPP is in a transitional phase, and our new guitarist, he's really actually our original guitarist, Bobby Olson, coming back, but over the COVID thing, he broke his leg really bad.
I heard this, unfortunately.
3 places.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
you know.
we're when he gets well and is able to get up and get around, we have a lot of work in the woodshed to do to get our set back together.
I do know, it's gone different ways. I've known some people over this, and I do want to do a compilation of how this crap has affected people, because a lot of people take it different ways. I've heard some people, they can't get any creativity going. Other people, one of my friends said he's done like 4 albums worth of material.
It's funny, man. I've taken the opportunity to do all kinds of things that suffered in my life before, like home projects and
Right. I
I've
clean
told
my rugs
myself
in my
that-
backyard.
I've told myself that, but then I'm at the point where I'm like, damn it, laundry, fold yourself.
I thought during the actual lockdown, I mean, I've been back to work now for a couple months, but I thought while I was home all for a couple months, I thought I'd be playing a lot more drums. Turns out I did a lot more other things, like, and I actually got away from the drums for the first time in 30 plus years, you know, for a little while. It was kind of okay.
I actually started practicing a little more because I don't practice all that much, to be truthful.
That's good.
You know, and working on the yard and cleaning rugs and things like that. It's like, okay, 15 years, time to clean the rugs.
So much dog hair. It's like, there's a rug under the dog hair. Wow. There's a rug under there. Yay. But was there somebody that really, when you started for drumming, that really hooked you when you played music? Where oh, damn it, I want to hit things with my hands.
Yeah, well, as a very young person, seeing like Buddy Rich on the Muppet Show with Animal,
right?
And then when I got into an adolescent, I got into Rush heavily, and so
another passing this year, Neil Peart.
Yeah. So he was a huge idol of mine early on. And then just a myriad of drummers from there. Myriad. Just like...
I appreciate how you use the word myriad.
Yeah.
I was one of my literally... If you see a big band that you've always followed, I would go to I have like a group of friends from college. I remember I saw Geddy Lee biking on the Canal Trail before their 4th of July show one year.
Oh, wow.
And we had a huge, deep conversation. Hi. And I got home. I took my dog home. I met Geddy. And I keep telling that story.
We exchanged dialect.
Yeah, it would be like, over the years it would be, well, we stopped, we had lunch, I was backstage, they called me out for Tom Sawyer. But no, we said hi, that was it. But I remember we would go, I have a group of friends, they're all big Rush fans. And every time Rush would play, I'd get the call, okay, we're going to get tickets, we're going to go. So they played at the New York State Fair in 2010. And I went down. This is when they did the time, like the Back in Time tour. They played all the moving pictures.
Awesome.
But when Neil, and they have the weird thing like with the chefs coming out in the ovens.
Yeah,
that's
right.
But Neil did this solo, and for me, it was the best solo I've ever seen. I just sat there and said, "This was beyond. I don't think it could get better than this."
Yeah, that's after he did that deep study with, I think, Freddie Hubbard.
Yeah, what he did was he said, I wanted to restart. Yeah. He taught himself how to learn drums again.
Yeah, he switched to traditional grip and he had to basically learn all over again, and really wanted to be able to swing. And that solo in that era really represents.
And they would have the swing, like the laser behind him with the. And he just get the other things and swing.
I mean, he always had those crazy technical chops, fast as a machine gun. But he was quite mechanical. Man, did he learn how to swing?
I would listen not having really the talent for it, but the ear subdivisions, and you would I listen to the drum parts Race to Rats, and you would just hear, how is he doing this? He's adding this in extra.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's got some kind of third arm out of his chest.
I don't know.
But then, buddy, I read Carmen Appice's book, A Piece. They changed the name over the years. Yeah. Wow, he's a sex maniac. But the story he tells is, well, I remember when we used to go around, we'd compare what kind of drugs we took and everything. Now we go around, hey, what kind of high blood medicine are you taking? But he would say, he ran into Buddy Rich, and he said Buddy Rich was known for sticking his nose up at rock drummers.
Right.
Buddy Rich had it, but he just hated rock drummers. He thought he made the one comment, well, if you can't play, you play in a rock band. Yeah. But he would come up to Carmen and say, I like you.
Oh. I'm sure
Carmen was great.
I'm sure Buddy Rich thought rock drumming was quite rudimental and simple. I mean,
I see what you did there.
Right. Buddy Rich was a classic dick too. From what I'm told.
Everything I read about him, he was great, but he was. I'll give him that he was arrogant, but he could back it up. He's damn good. It wasn't like one of these guys.
He did some otherworldly things.
But he was a dick.
Yeah. I think a lot of that, though, may have come from maybe competitiveness and just that whole era that he was from, man. Because men were men.
I watched,
and,
I have
grew up in the tough era, CDs, Italian, whatever.
One of my favorite CDs is the Krupa Rich drum battles.
Right.
Yeah, no, you talk about two different, machines. Buddy could just dazzle you with the speed and technical virtuosity. And Gene Krupa didn't have that, but he had just this great phrasing, and
he could swing.
He could swing. Yes, and I love the contrast of listening to the Buddy, okay, and then Krupa. doing his thing.
Right. Now, all those guys had their niche. Louis Bellson came out with the bigger set.
Yeah.
And then, there was more flash. And, then Buddy Rich just did basically rudimental madness,
Yes. Yeah.
I found this really cool Bellson, not Louis Bellson. Is it Louis? Wait a minute. Or Krupa. It is Gene Krupa. I found this 10-inch record, Gene Krupa Swings or something, and it's all brush stuff, and it's real cool.
I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube the other day with a bunch of those Krupa solos, and then Buddy Rich solos, and then Bellson, and then a whole bunch of more modern era drummers. Yeah, you can go down the rabbit hole.
I've been doing my YouTube concerts where it's like I can't go to them, so I'll do this. But you also evolved too. You said you started with metal.
Yeah.
And I've known like the reggae. I know our friend Rob Mount, who's been on here. He said, I asked him, what kind of style would you try out of your comfort zone? He said, well, would you try ska or reggae? I tried. I don't think I'd be very good at it. And he spoke about how much he likes Stuart Copeland.
Yes, Copeland. Yeah.
But really, how did you evolve like that in terms of playing?
It was my experience in Buddhahood because I was Tony's drummer in the metal days, and Buddhahood found themselves in need of a drummer, and I had outgrown my metal. I had so much more to express, and I didn't realize I didn't know how to do that. So I just started studying world music and listening to reggae intensely, put all my metal records away and didn't listen to them for a bunch of years. And just because that's an absorbed, soaked my brain in all these different styles and tried to mimic them. And then on the road with Buddhahood, it was Tony gave me 6 months, a year of patience before it really clicked. And that's the kind of patience he had with me. And reggae was extremely hard. Now it fits like a glove for me.
But that is, how would you say that for somebody who's sort of starting out drums? I want to try reggae. What do you have to really be aware of?
Well, the toughest thing for me, and Greg can probably understand, is ignoring the one on the kick drum. When as a rock or R&B or a funk drummer, you always gave the one something on the kick drum and three something on the kick drum. And now to play that one drop where you're just dropping the bomb on that three on the kick drum and ignoring the one and trying to not let it slow down, and then putting all the colors in there and making a groove and not making it sound mechanical.
You're doing timbali type fills instead of tom fills. It's the one drop's important, and then there's the other thing where you're just kind of keeping the pulse, 2, 3, boom,
the stepper groove.
And there's 3 or 4 different basic.
And I always thought it's a lot safer too because you don't blow up like Spinal Tap drummers or metal drummers.
Right.
And let me also say that a big part of my evolution is my close relationship over the years with drummers like Greg right here.
Thank you, boss.
He's about half a generation in front of me, and he's done more, and he's got such style and touch and finesse and such a myriad of styles. And especially when I started filling in with Willpower, some of the Latin stuff.
I call them. I told Susie one time, if I ever did a good indie film, you'd be the soundtrack band because you can feel it's like that stew of stuff where it's like with your band, you can hear the influence. There's so much. It's all good music.
Yeah.
As I was thinking of your band again, because I got into when the pandemic first hit, I'm sitting at home going through my collection. I have all this world music, playing music of Africa, music. It's those rhythms.
Right. Well, I mean, I appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you got to just listen to a lot of stuff. Yeah. And when you latch on to, I like this about Latin. Oh, I like this about country. Oh, I like, and the things that you kind of just gravitate to, and then you just hear it. They're just colors, like you said. It's like you just kind of start thinking, okay, I'm gonna.
Well, that's again.
Okay, let's take that "Cop Girls and Guns" song that Don wrote.
I love that song.
And
with the breaks, though, the changes.
Yeah, it goes from a country. It goes from a 2-beat country, hillbilly country, Hank Williams thing to a reggae thing.
Yeah,
and then you have to transition out of that, go back to the country. But it still has to be authentic. Both parts have to be authentic. You can't just you know what I mean?
Yep.
and
that's what makes it special.
And you have to know both groups. So it behooves anybody, any kids that are learning or any people learning that, just listen to as much music as you can and listen to what is going on with all the instruments, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's another thing, too. Drummers need to really listen
Except
to
for
what's
the
going
accordion.
on, not just to what you're doing.
The accordion, you can
The accordion, ignore the accordion.
The mouth harp, too.
Throw an axe at the accordion player.
That's what I learned, for writing. The first thing I've heard, it said read as much as possible first. And sort of go along them and then go from there, but read tons as possible. Yeah. But also, you written Trailer Romance, didn't you write that?
Yep.
See, drummers can write songs. That's like a country-ish...
Well,
Susie always acts it out, though. Too.
Yeah. I just wrote the lyrics, basically. And then what I had to do with that is I had to come up with the story. Because basically the story behind that song, I'll make it short, but we were at a Christmas party with the Earl Cram Band a long time ago. And we were, drinking and stuff and having fun. But my girlfriend was there with me, and we were talking about something that her ex did. And, he was cheating on her and this and that and the other thing with this country girl, kind of a trashy whatever. And so I just came up, that Trailer Romance, I just said that. 5-6 years go by. We got to do a song like that. I never did anything with it. Finally.
Sometimes it's it
got around
begs
to
the
it.
Title.
Yeah.
The title just begs to have a song
It
written.
kept swimming around in my head. But anyway, I had to come up with a story. So then I just came up with the story, and I went through some rewrites and all that. It's the usual process.
That was one more Buddy Rich thing. This is probably an urban legend, but supposedly his last words were, "Dying isn't as bad as country music."
I've never heard that. But
I've heard that actually if you do Buddy Rich for memes, they have one of his quotes is that.
Well, I'm sure all those guys, it's great that jazz has made a comeback. And big bands and all, thanks to Texas State and all these colleges and all the, these music programs. But it's I'm sure these guys were really bemoaning the fact that things were changing.
Well, for me, too, I always say I call some music gateway drugs. But what happened, I'm sure, growing up, going to just regular school, people were spoon-fed. They would get, all the big, the regular popular bands. And the reason I always branched out is my brother was in a local band. So I knew the Ramones, all these other bands, and I would always get teased at school, this stuff's, I would make Gun Club CDs.
Right.
Which these days, they'd probably put me to a shrink and throw me out of school. Oh, what are you bringing in? I'm bringing Gun Club in. Oh, well, you're, go through But people would say, well, this sucks. Well, what do you like? It would just be the typical, REO Journey with all these other bands. Right. And I respected, Steve Smith to me is a very, very good drummer.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent. And people, I think sometimes you become, I had my period as a snob for movies. Well, if it is in a foreign language and playing it to little, I will go see it. Otherwise, I will I will not go see it. But we get the same thing where there's big bands who play huge things. Some of them are damn good. You just can't just be snooty. Well, if I don't go to a gig and if there's more than 12 people, it sucks.
Right. No.
Except for that weird jazz stuff.
Good is good, man.
There's a lot of those attitude things that why you playing cover songs, or why you doing this, or why are you in so many bands, and because I want to play a lot, and I don't want to be tied down to one thing,
and I don't want to play with myself,
and if I want to make some money here, I got to play 3-4 times a month or whatever. So when that gets back to that, I was teasing with Danny the other day or Danny Deutsch, because at the show, I was there early again, and we were talking, and he goes, "Oh, I see you're coming here in a couple of weeks with Krypton 88 too." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm back to playing with every band again, buddy. It's getting there. I'm slowly climbing back up."
I told Danny the other day what he has to do is rent a hot air balloon, put you guys up in the balloon, and they'll have more space.
Right.
Yeah, right, no doubt. You just took over on a temporary basis at Krypton gig, didn't you?
Yeah.
Who's in there? James is still singing, right?
Yeah, James Villa and Eric Davidson on bass. And he's doing some singing too, and he wrote some songs.
One of the best rockabilly bands for ages
Mm-hmm.
here.
Well, it's nice that they asked me, because Dana Gregory, with the COVID thing, his immune system's a little bit on the
See, that's like I say for the
weak side,
for going out
so
podcast.
he doesn't want to go
else,
outside.
is anybody who just doesn't feel comfortable. My allergies suck, but I always make sure. Literally, if I woke up and I had the sniffles, I'd call and say, "Look, I'm not doing it."
Right.
It's probably nothing, but
yeah. I'm going to work. We have to take our temperature twice a day and log it in a book. And
Lucky it ain't anal, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, there's an option, but I always go oral. And wear masks everywhere.
Do they do the hand thing, or just because I've heard like people you put your hand on?
No, they point it at your forehead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, see, for me, I work at, I go into
execution
buildings.
style.
Yeah, the little lasers.
So imagine, like, for me, I go into buildings after they close, so we do banks and stuff.
Okay.
So I'm going into banks wearing masks at night with a van. Who would have thunk it?
I know.
But there's nobody there.
Classic Batman villain.
Right?
I know, it's like, we're coming out.
Oh, man.
But that's what I've said, too. It's like, banks are reopening. I'm going in one because I'm wearing a mask in a bank.
Yeah, I remember my first time into a liquor store with a mask. And back then, I didn't have, it was early on, I didn't have one yet. I had a kerchief, like a little bandit
Oh,
kerchief.
I was doing the scarf.
Yeah. So I was like, this is wrong.
I had the story of the story. Is like, one of my good friends is in New Hampshire. He's a manager of a liquor store now. He said when this was hitting, it's like, okay, again, I thought the toilet paper jokes. Yeah, I'm going to go buy toilet paper if there's I could eat it, right?
Yeah.
He said people were coming in. Some guy came in. He had to have cash because he bought 900 cases of beer.
Oh, wow.
This dude is settling down.
Wow.
And I would go to Wegmans, I would see cases of beer going out there. Because I never got the toilet paper thing. After the last gig I saw in 1916 on St. Patrick's Day when they were closing, I figured I'd stop at Penfield. So I go in, and Brunette's there shopping too. He just skipped out.
Okay.
But what they took is bread. There was literally no bread.
Yeah. People have funny things about starvation and whatever.
Not being able to wipe their ass.
Yeah.
Well, I always said, it's like, okay, it's like
that is
the
not
toilet
the first
paper
thing
shortage.
that comes to me.
Here, there's the old thing, the two guys are sitting in the bathroom all of a sudden, hey, buddy, you got change for a 20?
Yeah, right. Now I think about, like, how many sweatshops have sprung up all over the world making these masks things.
I know.
Well, one of my pals said her mom does make it so it's my friend Stephanie, and they do T-shirts and everything.
Yeah.
She said they made lots of cash, and I asked her, okay, please tell me, say, like this mask of the Rocky Bullwinkle, this is my cousin made it because she got bored, so she started doing these.
Nice.
But she said, so I said, okay, what's the number one popular mask? My Little Pony?
Oh, my God.
But, one of the things, have you done any streaming?
No. I mean, no. Other than I haven't, if you're asking me.
And both of you, I know you filmed the concert for...
Yes, I was watching Anonymous Willpower Friday night with a drink in my hand.
Wish I could have seen
couch.
it.
You can watch it now if you want. It's still...
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I was watching it
I'm going to
live.
actually show, after we get home, Ellison Moore is doing one at noon. I won't be home.
I'll have to see that.
I'm going to watch that, and then I'm actually going to watch Alan Murphy did one last night.
Oh, sweet.
So you can do the repeat. Just watch the repeat.
Oh, okay.
And I do those watch party things just to try to help my friends or whatever,
Oh, anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I haven't done any. Like I said, right when this happened, JPP was I had just in February had a hernia operation, and I spent most of February healing from that, and then started rehearsing in March. In mid-March, I had my first 2-hour rehearsal. I could play good, and Bobby was just starting to transition, and then the thing hit. And so we stayed away, and while we were away, he broke his leg and blah, blah, blah. So I haven't had any opportunity with the JPP.
I've seen... This is a phenomenon. Some of my friends have done these since March. I've seen musicians losing it, going stir crazy. Literally, I had a friend of mine who's done one on Thursdays every week. She literally finally lost it on air and said, this isn't really fun anymore. I like playing in front of you people.
Yeah.
One of my friends was doing it on Sunday. She was acting like she sniffed helium before doing it some weeks.
Can I go on a rant here?
Yes,
Oh, he's
yes,
a cheer for.
Please do.
Again, people joke with me because, a lot of times I'll bring lights to shows, and even if they're not big deal lights, just some lights, because as it gets darker, 8 o'clock or whatever, you don't want to look like you're playing in the dark. Okay, so you have a little light on your front, people, and one in the back or something, so everybody remembers that I'm still around. So, anyway, with some of these streaming things, that's why I got to give Sue and Don credit, because they kind of transformed their basement a bit. It's like, okay, folks, if you're going to do something in your house, put up a black thing, put up something. I don't want to see your couch. I don't want to see your sink. I don't want to see your pictures on the wall. I want it. If you want to look like you're playing
box.
in a club,
See the cat jump over the thing while you're playing.
Put a backdrop up, put a couple of stupid lights up, and then it'll look cool.
Yeah,
and it'll
Alyssa
look nice,
does it
and
in
it'll
her
give you more of a
studio.
vibe of.
And she does like the lights by, but I had one of my
That's just
friends
me.
is playing.
That's just me.
One of my friends is playing. You see the
Listen.
pictures, and freaking the cat jumps on her guitar.
Yeah.
I gotta go chase the
Well,
cat.
yeah.
Somebody rang the doorbell. I gotta go see who this is. Oh, it's kids selling stuff. Plus, you don't get the feedback. I think a lot of playing live, you get into it when the crowd gets into it. And you're
Well, speaking of that, watching some of these late night shows where these guys are doing them kind of sans people, and it's just like they tell a joke, nothing. They tell a joke, nothing. It's funny, but you don't hear the audience. You don't hear any clapping. You don't hear any chuckling. It's very weird.
It's like-
to hear a stand-up monologue with no reaction.
That's bizarre because I've been watching the NHL playoffs. And it's even freakier if you watch that or baseball. They pipe in crowd noise,
Right.
which is bizarre. It's like something.
It sounds like something from a sci-fi movie,
Yeah,
like
it
with the
does,
dummies
doesn't
in the
it?
seats.
Yeah, with the dummies or the sex dolls in South Korea when they would blow up dolls. But also pro wrestling.
There's a
going
lot
back
of
to the-
surprised-looking women in the stands.
They had Geddy Lee was at the Blue Jays game. They had a Geddy Lee there. You could pay to
Oh,
have
yeah,
like,
that's right. That's
But
right.
but I know Rush was like big following sports. They were big Blue Jays fans. But but the thing.
I was watching the baseball yesterday, and I was thinking about the piped in. I go, well, a guy makes a close play at the first, and the crowd goes, and it pumps up like a real crowd. So someone's hitting buttons, and I was like, I guess it's better than if it was just silent. Because it was the Yankees in Boston yesterday for a few minutes. I remember watching it, but it's bizarre. Everything, the whole 2020 is so.
Oh.
Remember the Batman episode with the Archer, and he had his little applause
Oh, yeah.
machine with him?
Yeah, yes, yes.
But it's like the same thing, like pro wrestling going back then. They're doing it to empty arenas. I guess UFC is too.
Yeah, that's tough to watch, and to be honest with you, the current product,
Sucks.
The current
It
product
sucks.
is not. Well,
We could go on for
yeah.
years about that. How it's not
Yeah,
good.
I don't want to bore the hell out of Greg, but I don't get too into the current thing. The current product doesn't float my. I got the network and I watched the whole old library. Before I got here, I was watching Mid Atlantic from 1983. Yeah, and Dirty Dick Slater turning on. Yeah.
I watched one. Nobody would be able to do this these days. I watched the one with the Midnight Express against Mr. Wrestling 2 and Magnum P where they tar and feathered Mr. Wrestling 2.
Oh, that's great.
They whacked over Mr. Wrestling 2. They
Yes.
hit him with, and he sold
Yeah.
it because what happens, they come out and Magnum's got feathers all over
Yes,
him.
yeah.
And he's, I've never been, and Mr. Wrestling 2
Yeah.
still holding his head and getting whacked
They
over.
pour like Cairo syrup all
Yeah.
over.
What is this?
This is wrestling angles from the 80s. Mid-South wrestling. I've watched all that stuff.
I've done so. I've been
that
going
angle.
back, just
That's
watching
awesome.
full shows of this stuff and going, okay, this is just utterly great.
Yeah, poor Greg doesn't know what the hell
You
we're
can
talking
check
about.
YouTube.
That's okay. Like I said, I come to these things, and what I don't get, I listen to, and I go, well,
But
let's
that is
check
like the
that out
other
and see
weird
what
thing.
they're
Is,
talking
I
about.
said, like, for like a couple places, they've had shows
No worries.
where they've had like a person come and play solo, and it's like weird. It's like a person playing there with no crowd.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm. When this thing is over, all of our bands, the shows are going to be so huge and
Right.
phenomenal. People are going to be.
I'm
when things are back to normal. I mean, you can see it's there's gigs here and there. You guys played an outdoor one, or you can book outdoor ones here and there.
Well, that's going to change soon.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, because the weather's turning and. But when this is over, the shows are going to be colossal for a couple months.
Well, too, I had my my
Right.
canceled concert tour because I was like, for example, I was going to go see Jason Isbell and Trey Anastasio at CMAC.
Oh, yes.
That bought it. I was going to go see a show at Levon Helm Studios, which if you've never been there, it's a barn. It's
I'd love to go to that.
It's,
Oh my god!
If you have to get tickets there, get them the first day. They sell out. And it's a barn, though, literally 50
Right.
people. So there's no way. It's
Yeah,
like, I was going to go see Nick Cave in Philadelphia.
Like I've never played in a barn.
I did. I played in a barn for we were hired in the Rift Monsters. We were hired to play someone's graduation party. They paid us a whole lot of money. The parents did, who saw us at Sodas Point, said, we want to play this party. So we set up. They had a stage set up in the barn, and just at dusk, when we're about to play, they light the bonfire way over there, and all the kids rush to the bonfire, and we start playing to an empty barn. It was like, it was in the very back of the barn. Grandma was sitting, and there was a dog and a goat. and all the kids,
there's a joke there somewhere.
All the 50, 60 kids partying around the bonfire.
That's an album title for sure.
Yeah.
Grandma, a dog, and a goat.
Yeah, in a barn.
Well, Tom Waits recorded Mule Variations in a barn.
No, did he?
Yeah, and if you listen real closely, because I want to get that feel. And I guess John Cougar did one thing, too, like that. But have you ever played any of those gigs where you might have played some songs that aren't age-appropriate when there's kids there?
I think we probably had some on the set, but we made calls not to.
Well, there's two stories I remember. The Isotopes played the German House for New Year's Eve one year, and they didn't realize it was an older crowd. And Carl told me 8 people walked out.
Wow.
Because of their thing. Yeah, well, they do that snarky. And Carl said, I didn't even know people knew what a blumpkin was.
Yeah, it's high, it's intelligent humor.
And the other one, though, this wasn't intelligent. It was at some street fest. My dear friend Megan Taylor, it was a beater show or something. She doesn't realize it's all families. She yells out really loud, "Who wants to fuck?" And she looks and there's all these little kids out there. I do! Because like Greg Townsend...
Mommy, what is that?
Greg Townsend told me the joke one time they changed Johnny, Jim, and Jack to Johnny Appleseed.
One barn gig I did that was kind of fun. This is going to really blow your mind probably, but I was in this wedding band, right? The Swing Shift wedding band.
Yeah, I remember this.
With the couple of Bradley brothers.
There's tons of them.
Yeah, it was Mark and Scott are in that band. So anyway, we actually, this is no lie, we played Glenn Beck's daughter's wedding. Oh. So we go there. It's out in Seneca Falls somewhere, and I meet Glenn Beck, and nice guy and all that. It was raining though, so everybody stayed inside. So it was kind of a fun gig, but it was interesting. It was an interesting crowd.
In the barn.
Yeah, nice barn with a big loft where the band went up. But yet we had to bring all our stuff up this stupid ladder, and we're up in the loft, and it was like.
Did you try to lift it up, like tie a rope to it? And pull it up?
I don't know. We figured it out, but it was just it was kind of a pain.
That's a contender for worst loading.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, I know. One of the funny ones that got me, my friend Johnny Cummings played a thing for Thurman Thomas, and it always came out as ironic. Or he played for Thurman Thomas. And this was the year the Detroit Lions were 0-16. Oh. So Thurman, as a thank you, he gave him free tickets to one Bills game. It was the Lions game. So I wonder if there was a comment on the show.
Right.
Here, go see the Lions.
No doubt.
But that's really, I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, it was old. But what are some of we've talked weird gigs. Yeah. I know one of my friends said he saw Loverboy playing on a bowling alley. Has there been some strange places?
Well, different venues had bands back in the days,
One thing you both should look into is the Ionia tractor pull. It probably won't be one of my friends have played that. He said he loves it. They go on right before the tractor. He said, if you've never been to a tractor pull, you got to go play it.
I've been to some in Kentucky. They're pretty crazy. Down in Kentucky, especially.
Right.
Oh, I can imagine.
In the mid-'80s, I'm
trying to think. I did one of those van shows out in Weedsport or somewhere, like where they just have everybody brings their vans. They're all painted up and all that stuff.
Well, I have
some
to edit
amazing
this story.
stuff.
I have to edit this story a little bit, but one of my friends played in Mrs. Scanano, a ska band, my friend Justin. So they went down. They played in West Virginia. They drive the van down. It's got Jamaican flag and everything on it. And he said the experience with the people there was literally, if you watch the Blues Brothers with the chicken wire. He said he went in the bar had chicken wire, and they had no idea about the reggae and about stuff.
Wow. What's this raga music?
Right.
We all like both kinds of music, country and western.
Yeah. He forgot to play one.
But I remember, because my taste in music, so I remember 1 week for Water Street, I went to see David Allan Coe, and 3 or 4 nights later, I went to go see Toots in the Maytals.
Oh, sweet.
And Toots was just, he looked like Rudy Ray Moore. He had this freaking red leather on.
One of my favorites.
And he's just, for me, for reggae, my gateway to reggae, it wasn't Bob Marley first. It was the soundtrack to The Harder They Come.
Oh, wicked.
And that was what really got me. And I was always one of those people, I listened to something, this genre was great. Okay, let's get going. Then I got Bob Marley's box set.
I was like Training Wheels. You know, I was the guy that got his hand on the Bob Marley Legends record, and I go, this is really good. I like this. And then from there, you know, that's a whole lot of us white people.
Well, you ever hear Keith Richards' thing about playing reggae in Jamaica? He said, I can't believe these guys. They smoke a joint as soon as they wake up. I wait 10 minutes at least.
Right. It's like as they're making their coffee.
But I went to Montego Bay many years ago.
I think Peter Tosh was one of my first ones.
Oh, yeah. Mama Africa, which is great. But I went to Jamaica many years ago, and I still remember one of the stories. I say the bad part. I actually ran into the Klan at the Atlanta airport.
Oh, man.
Which is like, it was, number one, you go, these buffoons wearing these, but
Did they have the robes on and
they
stuff?
looked, and I'm trying not to laugh, and then I'm going, these guys are just fucking idiots, but, you know. But then I remember going down, and what you would hear at night was the reggae in the hills. It would be incredible.
Wild.
It was just great. And
I would like that.
And then you'd be on the beach, but you'd see, I remember these guys going out. It was so funny watching, because the water was all clear. Like a shark, these guys are trying to beat a shark with an oar. And I remember the other time, the boat goes out and they come back, and I'm like, what the heck why did they come back? They didn't catch anything. They forgot their ganja.
Yeah, you might as well forget your
And
pants.
I smuggled back some Appleton 151 rum, which was...
Yikes. Yeah.
But I loved it there. It's just you could hear the music, and the music was so pure.
I bet.
And everything.
I've never been. Huge, Greg?
No.
That's
Well,
plus-
I think I've been on a cruise. I think I went to a couple.
And you could drive
But
across the island in one day. It's that
Jamaica.
small.
Yeah.
And it's very safe because tourist industry is so big down there. But I've never been a tourist. Wherever I've gone off the grid. I want to experience. Like I would go walk around in Russia. You know, I remember talking to prostitutes in a bowling alley in a hotel in Leningrad. You know, but that's what I've always done. I don't want to get the touristy stuff. But we had one of my friends, like he knew somebody from the record industry, had a house, so it was by the beach. So the only thing, if you went to the outhouse, you had to watch out a scorpion didn't bite your ass. And that's why I think I have an outhouse paranoia now, because there's like little scorpions, so I cannot. It's like you have to go.
I did go.
Home.
I was on a cruise, and I think we went to the Dominican. I can't remember where we went. Where's that Atlantis place? That hotel, Atlantis, with the hotel.
They don't know. Plato said it was between the things, the Pillars of Hercules, like Madagascar.
You know, you ever go to that place? It's got an
I've seen
underwater
the
thing. You go
advertisements.
underneath, and there's all this water, and you can look through, and they got fish. You know, but it was there, and I was on a cruise, and I remember I was on the beach or something, and one of the guys that works for like the recreation or something, he comes up to me, like, hey, you want to buy a little? Okay, sure. Here's
Whereas
$20.
I remember the old days. I've been having these. I don't like getting so nostalgic because I'm starting to have flashbacks about stuff because my summer's nothing. And I still remember going to Country Suite, how this dude kept trying to sell me oregano every time in the parking lot. Every time.
Country Suites.
Yeah. But I'm just remembering, I'm all of a sudden having this nostalgia because this year sucks so much.
Yeah, I know.
You know, the good old days when we had to go try to find a neighborhood where we could go do a bottle in the woods or something. And I'm thinking all the places I used to buy booze from.
Right.
Simpler times.
Simpler times.
In the rush of buying booze, there's like a place on St. Paul I'd go to. And I'd go in, no ID or anything. And I remember the one time I thought I was going to get busted because I'm like ordering the stuff. The manager comes on, like, I left mine in the car. I gotta go. He's like, we have more in the back.
My neighborhood liquor store is a great name, Euphoria Liquors.
Right.
Euphoria Liquors. That's the one I went in with my mask on. They know me, though.
That's the one that got hit, right? In that looting
It did.
thing?
It did, actually, yes.
With that dumb girl that looked right at the camera.
What was that? The riot things. It was right after the Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I was working that night. It was an interesting evening.
I heard about it. Because we could hear the police cars and stuff.
It did get hit. Yeah.
That's too bad.
The other thing I was going to talk about, you met Rob Mount. We've been doing the drummer thing online, and he said he didn't want to mention name like Neil. Who are some of the drummers you like? The people like he mentioned Liberty DeVito, who's going to have a book out soon. And he's mentioned a lot of different drummers. Who's somebody you wouldn't know about who's really you go, this guy is really really good.
There's a guy named Brian Tichy that's really, really good.
Yes.
He's a rock drummer, but he's one of these touring hounds. He played with Sabbath, and he played with. I just saw him on this Whitesnake thing on one of the Roku channels.
Didn't he also,
great concert.
He was early on with Billy Idol, wasn't he?
He might have been, and he played with the Dead Daisies, that band with. It's like a kind of a super groupish with that John Corbin guy that would play with sang with Motley Crue for one record, and I mean, you know, he's really good. I mean, he's a lot more flashy. I mean, he can do the thing where he bounces the stick and it goes way up and he catches it. And he's got great feet.
I actually saw one guy, Bobby Rondinelli, for the Rainbow. He did that, and the stick went flying behind him.
Yeah.
But he's an animal, man. I mean, he's very good. If you want to learn like basic rock 101, he's the guy.
I'm having so many names, you know, like when you're trying to pour too viscous a liquid out a small funnel.
Yes.
Names are getting stuck up here. Like, you know, that. When I was going down the rabbit hole the other day of drum solos on YouTube, like I do sometimes, Sonny Emery, you're familiar with him,
Right.
Look up some of his drum solos. He has played on a lot of R&B and funk, great session, great. Oh, and of course, well, you know, everybody's going to know Dennis Chambers.
Right, yeah.
I mean, like, maybe just drummers, though. I don't know.
Well, you know, I mean, I love him. I'm always a big Ian Pace fan because he's a rudimental, good rudimental guy.
There's so many great ones out there. That's the story. It's like you hear the big names we know, but there's just so many and so many different styles.
Yeah. You've seen the thing going around on social media where drummers are nominating drummers to pick their.
See, my friend Rob Monk's been doing them, so he tried to be more obscure. That's why.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of mine, and well, first, if you pick 10, I'll be leaving out 50.
Right.
That's like the best. I've got hit with the best albums, and I'm like, what day of the week is it?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, I
So
kind of
hard
try to
for me.
break it down, though. I mean, some guys are better at grooves, some guys are better at flash, some guys are better at solos. I mean, when you hear a lot of these guys play solos, it's because they have just so much knowledge. But if you hear them play in their respective bands, I mean, they're going to play whatever works for the music. And that's one of the big things about being a drummer. I mean, you can play all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yes. Yeah, but like,
You know.
my struggle, man, back when I was trying to learn, transition from a metal prog drummer, I could play Dream Theater stuff, but I
Right.
couldn't lay down a Grateful Dead groove, which seemingly should be way easier. But, well, you know, there's where you get the intangibles of feel and grace and push and pull, not just this physical feat of how many notes you can fit in a bar. And
That's
evenly.
what John Bonham said about it. He
Right,
said,
yeah,
you know,
it's
you
a
might be able to
different
do
thing.
with like a triple whatever,
Yeah.
but if you don't have the feeling. But one of the guys I found out was a really impressive jazz drummer, at least to me, was Charlie Watts. I have his
very
CD
much
Watts
so.
at Scott's.
Yeah.
And Ronnie Scott's, and that's when I was in England. I had to go see Make a Pilgrimage to Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club, and he's fantastic.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people. The other person who always gets like the flack just because we like to make fun of him is Ringo Starr.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
I was
don't-
just thinking of him.
You know, I was thinking because it was Pete Best's birthday, and I was reminiscing about meeting Pete Best.
Watch some of his old.
But Ringo is not a
Stuff.
joke.
No, he's not at all, man. You talk about, like, you know, the phrasing of his fills. They're so musical. I don't need to have a lot of notes, and just the odd stuff he chooses as grooves.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
and watch his 60s stuff if they have full on shots of him, and watch his hi-hat work. It's obviously we're on an audio thing here, but he swings back and forth on the hi-hat. He is not doing like a pounding, like he's hammering a nail.
Almost a
He's
circular.
doing
yeah.
like you would do in a ride cymbal in
Yeah.
a jazz, because he came from that skiffle thing and the I mean, what is it? I Feel Fine. Is it I Feel Fine? He's playing that rumba thing. With the bell, the cymbal, you know,
Theory on
who
him,
the hell
too.
does that in the pop
My
song?
theory
Nobody.
is all the Beatles, like all four, they were like archetypes of people, and he was like the regular guy, and you figured he was just the guy they brought in.
He
They
was
don't
part
realize
of
how much talent
He was
has.
part of the magic, you know. He was absolutely part of the magic. Everybody, all the respect goes to, you know, John and Paul, but George and Ringo were equally part of the magic.
More and more,
of my
George
book.
has become my favorite Beatle. The more and more I listen to
Oh,
him. I always say my
that poor
favorite
guy.
solo album is All Things Must Pass.
That poor guy. How many songs the strong personalities John and Paul were, and George was just probably lesser that. How many great songs did not get on Beatles records because of John and Paul wanted to get?
Well, they said too, like John. They said like John, like Paul would barf out like 10 songs in a day.
Yeah, they were all good songs.
Right.
You know, what are you going to do?
Well, that's why I said the other time I was here, I said with my one song on the album with Trailer Romance, I'm like, I'm the George Harrison. Thanks for my one song.
I know you sung. I thought that's actually, for me, it's always touching when you play your song about he was my friend.
Oh.
Now, is that the only time? I was going to ask another part of that. How is it singing being
song.
on the drum? I love whenever you play that, it would be a highlight. And it was always emotional.
Yeah.
But how singing on drums? I can barely chew gum and walk at the same time.
It's something I had to work on for sure. But like when I give now it's second nature. And sometimes I'll come upon a passage where I'm doing something and I'm trying to sing and it's something that it trips me up, in rehearsal. I was like, I'm gonna have to work on that. But then after a while it becomes second nature. One of the things I teach all my students is when we're doing our rudiments, we have conversations. In other words, conversations that, like we're talking right now, and we'll be doing our flam taps and just having a conversation about what happened in your day today. It helps separate the rooms in your brain, so you're playing one and you're speaking one. That's one thing I've always done. When I'm talking about Tony in that song, something happens. It's such an emotional song, and I can listen back to it and get weepy.
I do, and it's not only because I knew Tony a little, but you think of every friend in your life you lost.
Yeah.
And it's that's the way I feel. I lost, it seemed like, we get older, unfortunately, that's part of life.
Sure is.
And I've lost my dad. I mean, I miss him a lot and everything, but he was 91. I've lost people who've been gone way, way too soon. And I always think about, we were this young, we should be hanging out now.
Right. No, but when I'm actually performing it, I've been lucky enough to just go into some, the emotion never took me over, and I was very lucky, but I can listen back to it and start crying.
You ever, on the lighter side, you guys ever prank anybody while you're playing in your band?
Oh my goodness.
No, I got to tell one story and then you can tell yours. I guess I saw Black Sabbath on the tour with Ian Gillan, right?
Uh-huh.
So they didn't do it, but I guess his bongos. It was, I guess Tony Iommi said what they did at a lot of gigs, they tied fishing wire to it. He'd start playing, they'd yank it off the stage.
I can't actually, Greg. Can you think of anything in one of your bands?
I mean, I've never.
I didn't never a purposeful prank. The only thing that happened to me once, it wasn't really a prank, but it kind of ended up one. I was playing in Sodas Point.
The classic story.
I was playing in Sodas Point at the Papa Joe's on a flatbed thing. And so my back was against the fence, and on the other side of the fence was there was a bait shop, and there was this little alleyway where you walked into the bait shop. So this family was coming back from fishing or something, and the guy had his fishing poles over his shoulder, and somehow I must have leaned back just enough. His pole swung around, his hook caught the back of my T-shirt, and he kept on walking. And as I'm playing, I'm being jerked around like a freaking, Thunderbird's puppet,
I've seen this at people's shows, and I still can't believe it. It's the oblivious people. You'll let people come in. I've seen this at shows. People are playing, and you will get the oblivious people come in, and they'll put money in the jukebox.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't hear.
Yeah. Hello.
But the other one, too, I keep thinking of the other bullshit movie, Whiplash.
Insult people much?
Because if you've ever, I always say that about Whiplash. It's I'm sure when you're teaching students, is it faster now?
Yeah, right. No, I'm not a dick like that guy.
No, I mean, number one, they would have kicked this guy out in a day.
Yeah.
Number two, it wouldn't even be fun.
Uh-huh. Go sell insurance
I
somewhere,
refuse
guy.
to watch that movie.
Now,
There's something about movies like that, I don't want to see them because they're to me, they're not realistic.
Oh, this is crap. Totally. I mean,
I don't think
I've
that's
had some
teaching.
crazy.
That's not teaching.
Mostly, I had psychotic gym teachers when I was at school. Those were the biggest nuts.
He knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Parker!
the actor dude, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but
that guy gets around. He's
those
a
were the
great
craziest
actor.
teachers I've had. But like, I've had art teachers. I had one art teacher in grade school that was pretty nasty. You know, we were using fabric crayons and we got yelled at for some stuff. But, you know, because we take away. It's got to be partly. It's also got to be the passion and the fun. When it stops being fun. You know, it becomes work.
Exactly.
And like Bruce Springsteen said, I've never worked in a day in my life. It's called playing for a reason.
Right.
I mean, if you're not allowed to make mistakes, you don't really learn anything. If it has to be perfect, you don't really know you don't know the road there until you make the mistakes.
The idea, like I remember Don Felder would complain about Don Henley because he would say, if you listen to live Eagles, it's like album. And why would you bother going to the show? You want to hear a little, like, you know, improvisation.
And some of the greatest creative accidents has come out of mistakes that we've, you know, in whether it be live or in the woodshed, where it was a mistake and it turns out to be a great idea, and we ends up being part of the song.
Yeah. And I would even do like the one, I mean, I do have the anal retental thing about lyrics where like if somebody does a song, they goof the lyrics up. I'll like, wait a second. It's like, oh, come on. It's like, it's still good.
Yeah. I never muted my phone.
It's okay. We have like, it'll go off or anything else. But it's been very great having you on too, speaking of that. It's been very fun. I hope you had fun.
Thank you. Awesome. I am a closeted, not really closeted, but podcast addict. I mean, I have 340 podcasts in my queue currently that, you know, and I've seen your guys' podcasts. I've been friends with Rob online for a while. I've seen him come to shows for years and years.
Right.
And I've seen you on the podcast, and I go, wow, that'd be cool. And to be asked is
anytime,
really
you know,
cool,
anytime.
man.
You know, come back.
I love
We'll
doing
talk
it.
pro. Now for podcasts, what do I listen to every week? Jim Cornette.
Okay, I listen to Jim Cornette. I listen to Jim Ross.
Jim Ross, the Ross Report.
Yeah, who's the dude that does with all those people? Conrad Thompson. He does.
Yeah. But Jim Ross got coveted for me because I was going to go see him live. He was playing here, so they postponed it. They postponed it again. They finally canceled it. I was going to go see JR live. I got VIP.
I listened to the Modern Drummer podcast, which is really good. I don't know if you ever.
I've never listened to that. I don't do a lot of. I got to start looking into some
great.
of these
It's
things.
it's a couple educators. It's the editor of the magazine.
Okay.
And Dan Johnston, a major online educator, and they do it every week, and they do education, gear review. They have a featured artist, and it's so good.
Oh,
so good.
There's so much that you could find what you want.
I think the last one I
found
listened
one,
to was
like Ask the Mortician, where she tells stories about like famous deaths, like what happened to the people who fell in the Titanic. I would just say, well, they drowned.
Right.
They go into deep. She goes into deep details about like the Donner Party, about what history doesn't tell you, and it's fascinating.
Oh, Hardcore History.
Yeah, Dark History's another one.
Dan Carlin.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
It's all you could find it. It's all out there. There's a lot of crap, but there's a lot of good stuff.
I listened to one back in this is probably a couple of years ago. It was called Back to the Batcave, and this guy.
Oh yes.
They dissect all the old Adam West every episode, and they talk about different things, and pretty interesting.
Or as we
stuff.
just talk about whatever shit we can think of.
That's right.
It's flow of consciousness, man. It's
You
cool.
do, and they
Works
go
for
by
me.
really quick, and they're fun. But okay, plug. Now you were playing. What's coming up for you?
JPP, John Payton Project, is will be coming back shortly. Bobby, when he gets his leg back together, we should be able to whip that back and start booking shows within a few weeks. I don't have anything committed right now. And in my other band, Centenary Road, the reggae rock band, look them up on SoundCloud. We have some tracks up on there, and we are just finishing up our first record called Last Dance, and it's a really good pure rock reggae record, a pure blend of those two styles with a really great frontman, Paul Brown, and that's what I got going on.
And you've done the drive-throughs. You've done the drive-ins, haven't you?
Yeah, I did a couple.
And they're okay.
Fanatics, yeah, I did that. Yeah, but then he got closed down like few days after. So I don't know what happened. I don't know. He violated something out in Lima there. It was nice though. I mean, people just pull in, set up their chairs and sit in the parking lot. And
But now you're playing with Krypton 88.
yeah, that'll be a Wednesday the 25th, I think that is, or the 26th, whatever the date.
That's probably the other date. I had a couple mixed up. I write stuff on my calendar and I can't read it.
Yeah, and I'm waiting.
Honest Willpower.
Right.
Krypton 88.
Yeah, Brian Lindsay.
Keep going.
And that's about, there's this other band called In the Mix that's a straight cover rock, like a 90s.
Do you
like
ever
a
make fun
CMF
of Brian,
playlist
too,
sort
and
of
call
thing?
him Mayor Linseed from Batman?
No.
That's another link we have is we both played for Brian.
Yeah.
I think everybody's playing Brian.
Well, and I'm waiting on him to finish, this new CD record thing of his, and that's still got a ways to go. And
this year's screwed with a lot of plans. It's like...
yeah, it sure
Are
is.
you on tracks on that? Are you on tracks
I'm
for
on
Brian's?
all of them.
All
Yeah,
of them?
yeah.
Good.
Well, I think there's one I'm not on because he had to get a guy because he sent a song out to John Kelly. You know John Kelly?
Yeah.
And he's in Austin there. He's moving back, I guess, but he was in Austin and he had another drummer, so he had that drummer do a track and send it back. So other
Cool.
than that one,
Modern times.
I know, isn't it amazing? It's like, but we were going to play. Is there something we could play from you, like your songs? Pick
Yes.
something out.
Okay, yes.
Pick a song, any song.
Uh-huh.
One of yours, so we
I'll
don't get
go into
sued.
my phone. I'll go into my phone and pick one out.
Here we go. We'll probably get flagged for it.
How do I do it?
Oh,
I'll take it into-
We'll take care of it after
Okay.
it's over. We have our maestro.
All right.
Actually, we have little elves come and they take it in a little thing in a tree and they broadcast it through birds and we sprinkle
Tiny
it in
elves.
and mail it back to us.
We have a great. This would be from our last performance at February 1st, 2020, right before my surgery at Three Heads Brewing. JPP's last performance, and this would be a take on our version of Rapture, Blondie's Rapture.
Oh, cool.
It's a really
Great venue, too.
yeah, great venue, and it was the last time, and so I think that's what I'll pick.
Okay, there we go. John Payton Project, right?
Yep.
Because there's so many. It's like,
Yeah.
not the Ellen I keep calling your band the Ellen Parsons Project. Or something.
John
Well,
Payton's
there's a-
current
There's
project.
2 P's in that one.
Yeah,
too.
that's why it's too much for my brain. But thanks,
Yeah.
Sean. Thanks, brother, for being on. It's great
Thank
fun.
you so much,
And we're gonna
Rob,
play
for
this
having
John
me,
Payton
man.
Project. Come back.
I will,
Come back
man.
and see us until
I
they close
will.
us down when the next wave of COVID
I can come
hits.
back as the masked grappler one time, brother.
Yeah, actually, we've done it in character before we played Heroes, so you can just be the masked grappler.
Yep, mhm.
So cool, but thanks a lot.
Create a whole
Greg,
backstory.
see you on whenever the heck.
Okay.
Whoever knows during these days,
I'll be here.
I'll send a little owl to get you. See you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Rob.
cars on the door.
Just have your party on TV. There's a man